Hi, and welcome to this latest conversation video. Today, I'm joined by Simon Marshall. Simon is the founder of TBD Marketing and the publisher of the quarterly Linked Influencers report, which celebrates the leading voices in the UK's legal sector. And today, I want to chat to Simon about how lawyers can leverage LinkedIn to build their personal brand and their professional network. So, Simon, on a sunny Friday afternoon, thank you so much for joining me. Tell us a bit about you, what you do, a bit about TBD.
Thank you, and thank you, Adam, for having me today. I'm really chuffed to be on your podcast and to celebrate kind of all the great things that lawyers do
Mm.
and can use LinkedIn for as well. So I run a legal marketing agency. I've worked at six different law firms, Adam, before that, and I keep joking I couldn't do a seventh. I'd kind of reached my limit by then. And what was joyous about stepping outside was you didn't have to stand by the rules of working at a firm anymore. And so, when I wanted to start training people on LinkedIn a few years ago, I thought, well, I can do it how I want to do it. And so I started developing some materials to train lawyers about how to use the platform a bit better, and felt that there was not enough lawyers as examples, barristers, GCs as well, who we celebrated, who were using it really well. And so that was what gave birth to the idea of having a ranking and celebrating those top 100 voices in each of those areas. Was the idea that we could find inspiring voices. Adam, on average, there's one per firm. That's the challenge. There was no community of them before we created this thing. There's people like you, in your chambers, and there'll be someone somewhere else as well. And it's quite hard to find each other except on LinkedIn, right? But actually, in real life, the good news is there's hundreds, and they're quite an inspiring bunch as well.
Yeah, I thought the Linked Influencers report was fantastic. Tell us a bit about how you put that together and a bit about it for people who perhaps have never heard of it, or perhaps
Yeah.
people who think, "Oh, I'd like to get on there." How does that? What does that involve?
Thank you again. So first thing says it's free. It's free to take part if you just put
Mm.
yourself forward, and we'll rank anyone, Adam, that puts
Yeah.
himself forward. We've decided to up the ante a bit this time round, and as you know, we already cover quite a few areas. So anyone who works at a top 200 firm, any leader of one of those firms, and that's because that was my core business.
Yeah.
Any barrister that's based in the UK and working in the chambers, or one of their colleagues, so it can be a clerk as well or a practice manager.
Mm.
We've got indies on there, so smaller firms, and really, I'd love if you're well connected with that group, Adam, if they came forward, we'd love to celebrate that independent sector a bit more. Only rule is got to be SRA or equivalent regulated, right? I really want it to be a regulated kind of industry, so not a regulated person only, but actually your firm is regulated. And then GCs are the new invention for this quarter for our report. They're finding their voice, Adam, as you've probably seen in
Mm.
relation to Trump, the rule of law, and other matters as well. I think that GC voice is going to be very interesting, Adam, over the course of next quarter. So it's free to take part. Just drop me a line, put your name forward, ask Adam to do it. And what it means is, if you rank in the top 100, you'll find out. And if you don't, then you can ask me discreetly, and I'll let you know anyway where you would have come. We've upped the numbers this time round. I haven't told anyone this yet, but we were looking about 3,500, 4,000 people before, and so far, and we're on, in May, we've looked at
Wow.
13,500 people.
Which shows the extent of the numbers on LinkedIn as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, some of those big firms, Adam, have got 1,000 people active now, that are on there. And I think we live in an era where people are starting to use that soapbox themselves. Imagine where we're going to be in a couple of years' time when people really kind of grab control of it and understand, "Oh, I can communicate directly here with clients and targets, with people I need to remain front of mind with." So something, for you, I assume it makes it much easier to keep in touch with many law firms on a daily basis. When you walk into the room, oh, it's Adam. It's just lovely to have that ability to do that. And I think that once you see someone or chat to someone or get inspired by someone who's had that experience, you want to do that, right? You want to walk into a room and have people say, "Oh, it's Simon or Jenny or whoever." And I think that's so important to have that experience if you can.
No, 100%. Regularly, people come up to me at court and will say, "Oh, I follow your updates on LinkedIn, find them really helpful." and then you've got a connection, a potential client, which is wonderful. Simon, for those perhaps who are LinkedIn novices, and as you know, my primary area is immigration law, and a lot of immigration firms are small high street firms who might not have that big marketing machine behind them.
Yeah.
What's some sort of basics you have for them to start to develop that presence and use LinkedIn to their advantage?
Great question. So first thing is it's free at the point of entry for anyone who wants to publish a post. And what a lovely democratized kind of version of the world. If you write something interesting, people tell you they like it by liking it or commenting on it immediately. So, where we previously everything we wanted to do had budget, and time lags and communities and people signing off on whether they approved or not. We don't need to do that now, right? We need to say, I'm going to write something that's of interest to my, target community or my active clients, as it were. For smaller firms who are thinking about getting on there, maybe some of their clients aren't going to be on there, Adam. It's possible, right? They might be on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, but who is on there? Other law firms that are going to refer you work, other referrers. So it could be NGOs,
Yeah.
agencies, charities. In immigration, there's a variety of different people that will send you where that way. And in your case, of course, barristers and solicitors both wanting to make sure they remain front of mind with each other. Let's talk about it. I cover it in my training, but I'd like to share it here. The big change over the last few years has been that word of mouth recommendations have evolved. Previously, Adam, you'd say to me, Si, can you recommend me an electrician? I'd give you her name, you'd employ her, she'd do a great job, you'd write to me and say thank you. End of conversation. Now, I give you her name, you go and look her up, check a
Mhm.
trade, anywhere else. The same thing's happening to you and me and others, and it's happening not on check a trade, maybe on review solicitors, but it's definitely happening on LinkedIn.
100%.
So, right, we know what you stand for, what your values are, what you like, literally what you like, what you comment on as well. And I think once law firms understand that, oh, if I just have it as a reactive play, just sat there and our profile is in a really good nick and people can come and see what we stand for, great. That's enough. That's a perfectly good strategy, Adam. For a lot of people who are busy or in court all the time, please can you at least make sure that you are present on there so that people can find you and validate. Because if someone else has gone to the effort of giving a word of mouth recommendation for you, please can you do the favor of making sure that you show up on the world's biggest professional services kind of marketing platform? You know, simple as that.
Yeah, if you're not there, it'd be a worrying thing, wouldn't it? So yeah,
Well,
certainly.
we all know what happens, Adam, don't we? People get two recommendations because you don't want to feel quite often it's like, well, you should try Adam if you want this and someone else if you want that. And then if you go and try and look for both of them and one of them you can't find, you're going to instruct the only person you can find. It really is as simple as that. So don't put yourself on there. You'll never know, but you're missing out on new business.
And do you have any sort of golden rules for posting the sort of things people develop? I suppose as a barrister, I've tried to develop by sharing legal updates, and
Yeah.
apart from the jokes I share on a Friday, that I try to make sure I share some dad jokes on a Friday, but generally my content is sharing legal updates for solicitors and firms. What would you suggest in terms of posting?
I love your balance of content, and I think that's the right approach, right? So if we, if Aristotle said that we had to establish logos, ethos, and pathos when we wanted to persuade people.
Yeah.
How do we do that? We need to have a logical argument. I have the technical ability to do this thing. I need to have the track record to so that you believe in me, or I'm of a chambers or a firm that allows me to share the firm news, share the chambers news, share a colleague's blog, right? And then the third part is you've got to connect with people. And if that's dad jokes or Chris Young, KC, does some amazing kind of planning based kind of connections with people as well. He's very good. Or Andrew Hogan with his dogs. There are people that use it to just cut through the noise. And not every day of the week necessarily, but I like your cadence of serious Monday to Thursday. Here's a dad joke for Friday. I quite like that approach. And I think that that appeals to all three elements of the humanity of I'm persuaded that Adam is the right guy for me. So if you want to take my advice, don't write anything that's going to offend your mum
Yeah.
or you wouldn't want to end out by a judge. And that is all you need in your social media policy, by the way. Just play nicely and do those things and you'll be fine.
No, that's really helpful, and the sort of demystifying it and putting it in that straightforward fashion. I think that's so helpful to people.
And I think there are loads of people like you who've got, these serious followers and lots of experience. If you ever write to someone like, Adam or John Gregson or me or Sophie Wardle, and you say, "Oh, can you quickly check this for me? Would it be okay?" Invariably, those people will say, "Of course." If you're just getting going, of course. If you're sending that 2 years in, we've got a bit of a challenge. But if you're doing it like I'm just nervous about getting going. Adam, I would take a look at that some course, go for it. It's going to be brilliant. Or maybe don't use this word, or you might be put on the naughty step if you do something like that. But otherwise, for the most part, I think it's not born. We have it drummed into us to be very careful and risk averse when we're in the legal profession, and I think rightly so, Adam. Right? There are
Yeah.
lots of good reasons. Who knows, how it's going to play out. Some of the things that you post today, but if you're a bit more cautious when you start out, that's okay. Don't try and emulate Adam or me or one of those others today. Maybe go and look at what we were doing 2 years ago, right? Because that tells you how we started, how we grew that practice, right? They're the safe ways to get going, I think, as well. So I always encourage people, Adam, to take very simple steps at first. Like a post or comment here or there, grow your network a bit, really keep it very basic.
Yeah, those simple steps can have, big results and make a big difference. Often we hear that phrase personal brand, and probably a lot of people at the bar would recoil and get an allergic reaction to that. But seriously, why is it important for lawyers to be developing a personal brand, and how can LinkedIn be a tool to do that?
Okay, so first thing to say about personal brand is I think personal brand has always existed for the legal sector, right? In golf clubs, in at the opera, 100 years ago, we had personal brand for lawyers, right? You knew he's my lawyer,
Yeah.
he's my go-to person. Great, right? So we knew it existed. What's changed is that what used to be over lunch, over coffee, one-to-one in small groups when you need to know or somebody informed you is now available online publicly. And some people are taking that and saying, well, I can remain front of mind with 50 people that instruct me, or I can remain front of mind with 10,000 people who might instruct me. And I think that if we start out again, Adam, I think you can grow into your personal brand. Start out with, well, what are the things that you would do or say at a cocktail party, a drinks function, over a breakfast meeting with professionals. And if you stick to that area at first, not how's the weather, but here, I went to this thing this morning. Here are some thoughts on what was shared, or I was really pleased to meet, Adam Byte, who celebrated, this area of work, and he makes some great recommendations. Here's some quotes. That is useful to the audience, quite inspiring, and I think you'll find that you just gain your confidence through doing that. But your personal brand will be then associated to the subject matters that you care about, the people that you care about as well. So start out gently. You don't need to start out where you're going to end up.
Yeah.
I think this idea of being an influencer is the one that's upsetting some people. This idea of having to, take money to shill prime drinks or whatever, as it were, right? We're not talking about that. We're talking about, can you, if you're Chris Young, KC, can you remain front of mind with some of the leading planning people in the country by saying, here's a decision, here's what it means for your practice. That's incredibly useful for people.
Yeah, that those two phrases you've used, front of mind and being useful. I think if you can remain in the forefront of people's minds and provide useful content, you're onto a winner there. Definitely, definitely. What about let's turn Catholic. We've just had a new pope.
Yeah.
What are the cardinal sins for lawyers on LinkedIn? So are there things people are definite no-nos, things to avoid?
I mean, there are some things that would just not be allowed by the platform, so that's good news. Any, swearing or any racism, and but I think there are some elements of misogyny, things that people think are safe to do in DMs or direct messages, if you were. So let's be honest, right, Adam. I can't. If people are doing that, they need reporting, and that's just ridiculous. So, but beyond that, yeah, I think there are a few things that I just feel a bit um weird about when people do it. So one thing I see, Adam, that really I don't know what triggers me so much. When you see like, oh, so and so speaking at this event, and then someone who's been missed off the list or hasn't been included in the post says, "Oh, I'm also speaking." I always look at that and think, no, that is not a great look. So anything that makes you look a bit, weird or mealy mouthed or a bit like needy, just don't do it. All I would do is I'm going to say, I can't wait to see that all there or something like that. Right? That's fine. But I think, Adam, yeah, most of it though is just as it would be if you're if you behaved yourself at a professional setting and you're used to having drinks with other human beings, I think you'd be fine, right? As long as you know how to behave that way. If you go in and use your ears and mouth in the right ratio, I think you're gonna be fine for the most part.
One of the big concerns I have is sometimes I see lawyers, and forgive me if you do this. This is not a dig at you. I'm trying to get Simon's advice here. They seem to post on every case they win, and
Right.
win the smallest case, and they post about it. And that slightly worries me. Now, perhaps I'm wrong. What's your take on that, Simon?
That is it's so it's such an important observation, isn't it? Right? You're going to dress for the job you want, haven't you?
Mm.
Right. So if we're saying, well, like, in size business, you'd like to work for bigger and bigger firms, then guess what? I'd probably represent the proportion of work that was at that tranche of the business, as it were. My sense is, Adam, that other work would come your way anyway. So you probably don't need to encourage more of that. It's not going to make you more profitable. It's not going to make you less harassed. So my sense is let that stuff flow your way and then celebrate the wins that are genuinely something a bit different. Now, if instead of doing that, you're able to comment on a relevant case, even if you weren't on it yourself. In fact, we know that it's much easier to comment when it's not your case. Then do that. Take a major piece of something that's been handed down from the RCGA, talk about that, give your opinions. The media will be in touch. They'll be using your quotes, and suddenly you're off to the races then, right? So my advice is let go of the small stuff. You know the McKinsey model, Adam.
Mm.
Let go of that bottom 20%. We just don't need to talk about that too much. And then be seen to be a little more magnanimous. Talk about other people's successes. That is people trust people who celebrate other people, I believe.
Yeah, that is such an important point because too much people celebrating themselves and obviously celebrating the trivial things often, but actually the rare people, the people you're attracted to on LinkedIn are those who are bigging up somebody else and their achievements and their success. I think that's so important. What are some final practical steps you can give us? Any practical takeaways if people want to raise their game a bit, Simon?
Yeah, so one
Feel
thing.
free. Marketing generally, the floor is yours in terms of what you'd like to tell people.
So one thing I'd say is there's a maturity model that's on my profile that's
Mm.
there. And it doesn't matter if you don't have a profile all the way through to you're the most sophisticated user on the platform. Everybody's got something they can do as the next one or two steps. So if you get a chance, please go and take a look at it because what you'll work out is most people are around at that foundational level still. They have a basic profile or they like the odd post on there. Actually, there are some things that you can do on there that just take a step or two forward and you'll feel confident in doing so. More broadly, I think the thing that you do very well, others are increasingly doing well, is just thinking about those pain points for our clients. What is really bugging them? What's making them grind their teeth or lose sleep or think about who to delegate it to. If you can show up with your content to allow your client to, worry less, sleep better, get it off their plate, you'll be you'll be beyond busy with work. I mean, really, just step into there. That's good marketing advice, no matter where you are in professional services. Just take the pain out of your client's life, and you can do that by saying on LinkedIn, oh, the top three things that people talk to me in the first hour of instructing me are often X and Y and Z, right? And then it will be their biggest pain points. I wish someone else would take this off my plate for me. I'll do that for you. Okay.
No, that's so helpful, recognizing the pain points. And if for me as a barrister, recognizing the pain points solicitors have in perhaps digesting the latest changes to the immigration rules or appeals procedure and breaking that down in a way that makes their life easier. Yeah, that there it is on a plate, isn't it? No, that's fantastic. Simon, if people would like to work with you, would like to reach out to you, I'll obviously put your details below this video. What services do you offer? How can people get in touch with you and TBD?
That's very kind. LinkedIn is best. Find me, Simon P. Marshall. You can try TBD if you like. That's fine. TBD marketing. So there are three main things that we do: PR and communications, digital marketing, and then the last group is strategy, marketing strategy, and then we do some interim as part of that as well. So if anybody needs help, filling a role while somebody's off on maternity leave or shared parental leave or something similar as well, then just give us a call. We can quite often help with that as well. It's been a big growth area for us, Adam, for a wee while now. You need a pair of hands, a bit like you, get running at short notice, right? That's what we do. very well. But warmly, I'm always open to a conversation with people. I,
Yeah.
I I really dislike it when people get stuck because I think there's enough advice out there now. You can take action and you don't have to be stuck.
Mhm. No, that's really kind of you, Simon. Thank you. What I'll do, I'll put your details below the video, and hopefully people will reach out to you on LinkedIn, and hopefully people will take those practical steps to really be in front of people's mind, to be useful, and to reduce those pain points, and hopefully achieve that success and leverage LinkedIn for them. But Simon, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it today.
Thanks for the opportunity, Adam.
Bye bye.